Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prowess Goes Live. Oh man, sorry that we're a couple of minutes late. We're just having a grand old time chatting before this. But welcome. This is the last Prowess Live of 2024, which seems wild because it feels like just yesterday we were doing the predictions for 2024 live show, and here we are wrapping it up. And I'm really excited for today's conversation because Leah and I, of course, well, let me give credit where credit's due. Leah came to me and she was looking at all the data from all of our different live streams, and she's like, man, you know what our audience loves when we show versus tell how to go from OBM to fractional COO, or how to become an OBM, and just these real life success stories. So we wanted to bring that to all of you to really wrap up 2024 and get you super pumped for next year. So before we get started, let's do a quick intro question put into chat. I'm going to give you a little time to think about this. Put into chat, what is something that you are proud of accomplishing in 2024? What is something that you are proud of accomplishing in 2024? So I had an immediate answer for this that came to mind, and it's truly the Prowess Project team. We have worked so hard at building a collaborative, empathy-first, hard-working, results-driven team, and I just could not be more proud. And as a result, this year has been all about building systems, improving our current offers, and then in turn, we saw a 37% growth. So just truly cannot say enough how much this team has knocked it out of the park. All right, let's look. Goodbye, corporate. Love it. Dropped out of corporate. OBM. Yes, Jenna. Goodbye, corporate. Signed and delivered my first high ticket offer. Yes. Physically and mentally dropping the day job. Oh, gosh, these are so good. It was a 5-year dream, and we moved across the ocean to our dream life. Holly, I love it. Didn't let being laid off get me down. Oh my gosh, I love this one. Roadblocks happen for you, not to you. Ooh, so good. Said goodbye to corporate, OBM, and DOO certifications. Bev, congrats. Y'all, oh gosh, so great. So great. All of you, I'm Ashley Connell, CEO and founder of Prowess Project. What we do is we help all of you drop out of corporate or take the next step in your career to be online business managers. So we do training, and then as we're doing training, we take that data that we learn on you and help match you up with your ideal clients. So we've done over 100 this year, and it's been amazing. So get ready, 2025. Again, for today's speaker, I am just really excited to do the show versus tell. We talk about this all the time on how important it is to meet people who have gone before you. And we also talk about how you can't be what you can't see. And so with that, I want to bring up the wonderful Jessica Lackey. Hello, Jessica.
Hello.
Oh, we are so thrilled to have you.
I'm excited to be here. It's going to be a fun conversation today.
Absolutely. Okay, so I could rattle off your many accolades, but we want to hear the nitty-gritty story of how you started your career and then how you ended up doing what you're doing today.
So the nitty-gritty, I started out in management consulting, which I know is not like, I was straight up corporate for many years. So management consulting and MBA. I worked at Nike for 7 years running strategy and supply and demand planning for the women's training group and global supply chain. Then I moved to a major appliance company where I ran their what's called S&OP, sales and operations planning process. Decided I no longer wanted to work for the man anymore, or the big corporates, as it were. I wanted to step out and be fractional COO for smaller businesses who needed good, solid people, but weren't interested in hiring big ass firms.
Yeah. Preach. So many side questions there. First, like, was there a moment? Was there a moment that you had that you're like, I got to get out of corporate, or was it just a collective of?
There were two moments. One was like, I need to do something else, which was I was at Nike. I was responsible for a quarter end process for inventory management reporting. And the person who worked, it's one of those 2-person jobs that just has one person in it. And my direct report, who was supposed to help me, he was out on paternity leave. And so I had to do it all myself. And then I had a panic attack in my boss's office because I was like kind of connected to my phone being like, oh, I can't. So I was like, all right, I need to get the hell out at some point. So then I got out of that job. I switched to what they lovely call a bullshit job, where I'm just shoving PowerPoints around all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And then I embarked on a multi-year journey of holistic nutrition certification, life coaching certification, moved to Charlotte with a bridge job that kind of like got me here, and they paid my reload costs. And then I had the moment where I needed to I'm done. I'm tired. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And that was, so 2020 happened. I was working my job. I was delivering a massive transformation project with like an SAP implementation remotely. So like we started it, and we couldn't like push it because we were about to like, our legacy systems were about to die. So we had to like do it anyways. So we had just gone live. We were understaffed, doing it remotely. We literally hit go live, and we were in the hypercare phase. And some part of my day job, some like freezer, it was an appliance company, and some freezers were like late. And that was when everything was like a month late. Remember COVID supply disruptions? And they're like, how come you didn't tell me there was late? I'm like, you said you only wanted to know about high margin things. These are not high margin. And by the way, do you read the news? Like, everything was late. I'm not sure what you want me to do about this. And so I was like, it was like right around Thanksgiving. And I'm like, all right, it's time for my exit plan. So I started networking behind the scenes because we were working remotely at the time. And then I got some like gigs after like in March, which is really funny. I told them in January 2020, I'm like, when this project is over, I need a new job. And they're like, well, what if there isn't one here? I'm like, I'll find something else. And I left, and they're like, you're leaving? I'm like, well, this is not news.
Man, I freaking love how bold you are. Like, you just straight up told them, like, nah.
Yeah.
It's like at the very beginning, I got other options out there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So put into the chat, like, I'm sure there were 3 or 4 times that Jessica just like rattled all of that off that y'all are like, this was me. So I'm just curious, just put into chat, like, what were some of the things that you were like, yep, same. Okay, so it sounds like there were a couple of bounces from business or from different types of businesses along the way. So you didn't go from corporations like Nike, working with them, to helping small businesses.
I did, actually.
Oh, then tell us about that, because we have so many OBMs who are trying to figure that out. Is it apples to apples? Is it apples to oranges? How should they be thinking about, well, I've only done something super specific in corporate with lots of people, to, oh, I'm the OBM or COO for a small business.
Yeah. So there's different levels of small. So I went from like strategy, like corporate, to $1 million organizations, because anything smaller than that doesn't need a fractional COO, no matter what they tell you. So that's kind of on the part of it. But also I worked in when I was in supply and demand planning, I worked in sales. Like I was like forecasting what we're selling, forecasting units. In that role, I also worked with marketing, right? Because Nike, you have to like understand what we're marketing. I also worked in finance because I had to understand what we're planning to sell impacts what we're costing. So I worked in my function in strategy planning, sales, marketing, or I had enough exposure to that. But also when I was at Nike, in my team, I had to, in Electrolux, when I left, I was also leading a team through talent development. So I understood org structures. So I was in corporate, but I had like a very set of cross-functional experiences that basically gave me exposure to how the business ran cross-functionally and how to drive transformation over a multi-year project. But also at the same time, I had been trying to grow my own life coaching business.
Okay.
So I had tried to grow my business, and I'm like, what they're telling me to do doesn't feel like super aligned with how I think business works. So I'd been like learning what was there, but also top down seeing what, like from a corporate perspective, I'm like, okay, I know how business works.
Right.
And I know a little bit more about how the online business works, and I can marry the two together.
I love that. We talk a lot about that when you become like the cross-functional utility player within a business. How we call that the patchwork quilt-like background, where it's just like all of these amazing experiences, and you almost like you can't draw like a linear line or path of how that helps. But when you put it all together, it becomes this beautiful patchwork, and it's like, yes, this is what I can bring.
Yeah.
So I really love that you explained that. Tell us, I'm curious. You said that when you were going through your life coach training, they were trying to help you, I'm assuming, start your business or get clients. Where did you find the disconnect between your years of experience and what you were being told to do?
It wasn't that what I was told to be doing was wrong. It was just they weren't as really clear on the how and what are the functional things you need to do first. They're like, oh, like get a niche. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know who I'm serving, so I should do some client research first, right? And they're like, oh, go post in Facebook groups and send out newsletters. I'm like, well, is that how I'm planning to market? I don't think so, because when I was into my consulting world, McKinsey has what they call the no sell sell approach. I'm like, well, they're doing millions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And they don't have a weekly newsletter. So how are they getting clients? What are they doing? So I had enough experience to be like, well, they're not just like posting in Facebook groups. They're doing a more formal business development process. So those are the types of things that I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get my first clients by like hunting around. I mean, that's what they were teaching me in life coach school. But I'm like, my first COO clients came from relationships, and they came from like an appropriate business development process geared for consultants and not geared towards course salespeople.
Yes. I see oftentimes a lot of CEOs who come to us looking for OBMs. They get to this point where they found some accidental clients and there wasn't a lot of strategy behind it. And so they actually don't know who they serve, to your point, on doing that client research, figuring out what the solution or what the problem is, what the solution is, how much they'll pay for an offer, et cetera. And so it's really valuable to hear that by doing that, it's going to set you up for success moving forward.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us more about the companies that you are helping now. You said they need to be doing at least $1 million in revenue to need a fractional COO. I completely agree with you, without a doubt. And that's what I've seen too. Are there any other consistencies or anything else in common for the businesses that you are helping with COO work?
So right now they're mostly services, because there's a profit margin there. If they're not service based, it's I don't work with SaaS. Like I work with service providers. Again, as a service provider myself, I know how to best work with service providers that use relational marketing. If you're trying to do like the one of my clients is actually a B2B sales consultant.
Cool.
And so I don't know how to sell B2B SaaS. So I can help them with the strategic thinking and planning and prioritization aspects of COO-ness. But like, I'm like, I don't know product-led marketing. I can figure things out and I can assess where your plans have holes, but I'm not a subject matter expert in SEO, like with you tell me helping to do like consumer products, I'm like, again, I understand the foundations of strategy. And so I'm probably a Swiss Army knife that can solve most of your problems and like read a P&L. But when it comes to like being a subject matter expert in cold outbound email traffic, I'm like, I know what to look for, but I don't know how to fix it.
Sure. And and do you feel like either clients or prospects, however you want to look at this, appreciate that you are honest
Very
about
much
that?
so. Yeah, very much so.
And do you also find, not to lead the witness here, but that they are more likely to work with you even if you don't fit in their industry because you were honest?
They are more likely to work with me, but they're also, if they truly need what, there's this kind of like, depending on the stage, there's the COO needs to be a builder or the COO needs to be a strategist. And if they need their COO to truly be hands-on keyboard building things, then they're not going to hire me, even if I'm honest, because I don't actually know how to do the thing. Now,
Got
if they are needing someone to like set strategy, be a thought partner for the CEO, and more of like, there's levels of like COO intensity. Like you can be a fractional COO and basically have like, it's really contract COO. It's interim where it's
Got it.
it's
Got it.
like
Got
you're
it.
kind of doing it because, they have a tech founder, a CPO or a CTO and a CEO, but they don't have someone like kind of managing the trains, as it were.
Mhm.
So they need someone that's truly like, I'm just doing this for a short period of time, full-time-ish, but fractional in the sense of like
Yes.
interim. Or they need someone who's a 20 hours a week CEO,
Yes.
COO, or they need someone who's a 5 hours a week, help me navigate some things, help me like a little bit, but also just help manage my team. Those
Yes.
are all different needs. And you should establish, if I don't know anything about the industry specifically and I'm expected to build, then they shouldn't hire me.
Right. I love how you broke that down. Like I'm picturing like just like a matrix in my brain of what they need if it's like the interim full time or it's fractional or it is truly that 5 hours of strategy really is all you can do in 5 hours. Um, and so high level, what problem are these companies typically coming to you for? And what solution do you provide them? Again, high level.
Yep. They're like, I need to scale and I don't know how. So they're like, I want like my signature client, she was at 750. She'd been installed at 750. She's like, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to get to where I'm going. And even if I did know, I couldn't like manage it all. I couldn't control it.
Mm-hmm.
Help me get from 750. We cracked 1 million. It was great. So that was what we did. That was the problem. She's like, I don't know where the problems are. I don't think I have the right team. I don't know what needs to be fixed in the process. And even if I did, I don't have the people or the hands to do it myself.
And so, which offer did you use with her?
Like what we got done, we did it in about 5 to 10 hours a week. So,
Wow.
yeah. So it was like a combination of a couple things. So I helped her with her budget. I helped her with her strategic plan. I actually did, and I'm still doing, I don't love it, but like I'm still doing like proposals for her
Mm-hmm.
because like pricing was how do I have a pricing rubric? How does the SOW process work? Statement of work. And so and like, in order to see how it worked, I had to do it. So then we could start hiring for it. We ended up hiring, and I helped her draft the job description. I helped her source and vet candidates. I helped her with all the onboarding, helped her do that. Someone came in, handled 2/3 of the role we'd set out for her to do. And then like I had to kind of take back the other third of like proposals while she was handling other projects we'd assigned.
Right.
Because we're like, okay, like we scoped it too big a little bit. So now I'm like, all right, I'm still picking that up, but we're going to hand it back next year.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you're looking out at the sea of fractional COOs, what are some gaps from a skill perspective that you see out there that you feel like if our OBMs want to get to that level of being a fractional COO, they should double down on?
So many fractional COOs focus on what you would classically determine as operations. systems, processes, tools, SOPs, information management. And I think that like would qualify for maybe a DOO, director of operations type of role. I'm like, yeah, ops tech, like some of that is in my wheelhouse, but like, I'm like, what's the budget? What's the sales plan?
Yeah.
What foundations need to be set? Who's on the right team? I see someone asking the question in the chat, do you find pushbacks when CEOs growing when you suggest something, hire more people purchasing software? And I'm like, well, no, because I have modeled out the budget. I know that like we can't achieve these revenue and profit numbers unless we make these investments. And so it's my job to like say, these are the investments we need to make in order to hit the revenue numbers, absorb the profit. This is what the org structure should look like. This is the strategic project roadmap we need to like dial in on. There might be some tech and tools in that. And actually that's where I get less involved. I'm like, well, this year, my client, we switched her. I'm like, we can't crack $1 million and like plan well without switching from FreshBooks to QuickBooks. Mm-hmm. So I found an accountant and I was the translator between, she's like, I don't know what this means. And I'm like, I do. And I can like go into QuickBooks and help play the translator with the accountant. And now the budget process we're going through next year, she's like, oh, I see what my revenue is by product line. I see the expense by coach. Now I know what to plan for next year.
That is so incredibly valuable. Do you mind sharing what industry that business is?
Executive coaching.
Executive coaching. So, I mean, her bread and butter is, well, actually how much about business, running a business does she know? Or is it more of being a good executive?
She knows a lot about running the business, but the idea, like she knows the functions that need to happen. But like when it comes to like, she's not like skilled at like pulling down reports out of QuickBooks and like putting together her P&L and her budget. One of my other clients from earlier this year was a interior designer. Yeah. And she's like, I my books are clean, but I don't know, can I afford to hire somebody? What would it take in order to me to like, what should be the goals? And I'm like looking at her like labor metrics and I'm like, oh, you're under hired by like 3 people. Go hire them. Which is why you're running around like a crazy person. I say it with love.
Yeah. No. I was talking about this with some of our OBMs yesterday, specifically with interior design. We see that a lot. Okay. Fascinating. Thank you for mentioning the questions. I want to see if there's any others on here that I missed. Are companies finding people to fill the job postings that looks like it's in multiple areas of small, medium enterprises? I've been discouraged by a wide list of responsibilities, like it crosses multiple areas of expertise.
So there's a difference in trying to do 5 jobs and understand 5 jobs. And I think that's a difference. If they're asking you to do things in a bunch of different areas, that would be something I would stay away from. But like as a COO, I cannot ignore sales effectiveness. And I have to learn the sales process. And I have to be able to like tell the marketing team what they need to do. I need to talk to my EA and say, and my finance partners, I have to know how my business works in order to like appropriately move resources around and suggest projects and like be like, okay, well, we need to focus here. We don't have skills internally to do that. I need to go hire someone to do that for her. I don't need to do those jobs. Like I do not do invoicing. I need to know how the invoicing works.
That is such a good distinction. I've never thought about it like that. You need to understand how it works, not being able or not need to know what button to push in QuickBooks per se. That's really, really key. And so we get the question a lot, like, what is the difference between a DOO, a director of ops, and a OBM? And to me, our response to that mirrors a lot of what you said on the 2 different types of COOs. The CEO who is focused on strictly the operations, and then the CEO whose client is the business as a whole. And it sounds like that's where you fit. And that's like where we see OBMs, they get their sea legs. And then if they want to take it to the next level, they really become fractional COOs.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Is there anything else in there you would add, take away, exceptions?
I think there's like that. And so like in order to go from ops to the business, it's like, how do we make money? Do I understand the P&L? Do I understand leadership and people management? And do I understand not just like project management, but strategic prioritization? So, and also, can I look and say, here's where not here's how we can be more efficient, but here's how we can be more powerful. Here's how we can make more money. Here's the things that as a company we need to do. And I'm actually telling my, and I think it's some of it's a posture thing as well. It's like, I'm telling my manager, my client, I'm like, you don't make money here. Either we need to fix it or stop trying to like make it work. But like, we need to like, you're not making money here. You're making money here. How do we double down on that? So I'm learning a lot about sales. Like this year we implemented her account management process. I'm not a salesperson. I learned a lot about sales. She's like, I want to fix our CRM. I'm like, we don't have a CRM problem. We have an account management problem. And we have a little bit of like a notes problem, but like, it wasn't about like the right CRM is like, she didn't feel confident in what to say in the account management email and how to make it like worth the while. And so we workshopped that.
Fascinating. I really like that. And I am sure that your clients love how direct you are with the problems and what needs to get fixed now. Because as a CEO, their brains are all over the place on, which hole do I plug now? And so you being able to really focus in on that and saying, no, that's not your problem. The CRM, like, don't tinker with the tech. Who cares?
Yeah.
This is the issue.
Yeah. Do you guys cover the concept of the theory of constraints?
Not in our main program, but we've talked about it a lot. So please share.
So the theory of constraints is like, you got to fix the bottleneck in the business, and the business bottleneck might not be an operational problem. It might be an authority problem, might be a profitability problem, might be an offer structure problem. And as a COO, your job is to look across the entirety of the business as a functioning entity and say, what's the biggest bottleneck here? And how can I solve that? And if I don't know how to solve it, how do I get an expert in to help me solve it?
And what are your keys to figuring out what that constraint is?
You kind of look at like, there's two things I think about. There's like the 5 whys. Mm-hmm. Like, I see this on the surface, let me dig down and find the root cause problem. But there's also this like, kind of like where there's gaps and friction when you're like, oh, I have new clients. That's why we're not making money. All right, let's go upstream of like where the problem is and let's find that. And then there's the kind of the friction. Where are things piling up and why? Yeah. And again, they might not be piling. Like my client, when he first started, she's like, I need a new, like she was in Panda Docs. And she's like, I never can get proposals out the door. I need another system. I'm like, they're all the same. What we need is a pricing rubric, which means we need standard products, and we need to standardize what you're actually selling and how you're selling it and how you're naming things. That had nothing to, and I'm like, we're just fine in Panda Docs. I'm like, it has cool pricing calculators. It's neat. We needed to like price appropriately all the elements that she could bundle into packages.
So good. And so you use the word powerful. Can you describe what that means? Like you look at a business and you don't just say like, hey, how do we get to the next goal? But how do we make it more, or how do we, not how we make it more efficient, but how we make it more powerful? Can you say more?
Yeah. So there's taking on there's 2 things that diminish power. One is focusing on things that are not the problem. So if I let her implement a CRM, I'm like, that's not actually the problem. So like that's diffusing your effort. Sure. But also it's how do we do the same amount of activity with more focus and more effectiveness at every step. So It's not about doing more activity. It's about doing as little activity and as few projects at a time so we can focus and get them all done. There's like I have an industrial engineering background. So this like work in process. If I'm trying to do 5 projects at once, I'm never going to get them done. But if we're like clockwork, one project, all the time we're spending, we're not having to be like, what project should I work on today? It's like, this is the next step. Let's wrestle this to the ground, then move on to the next one. So I created a, can I share? Am I allowed to share on the screen?
Oh yeah. Like present. Yep.
Yeah. Is that weird?
No, not at all. How about it?
So I created share screen. Oh, 2 monitors. Yes. Don't show these tips again. Share screen. Entire screen. Okay. Can y'all see my slide yet? There we go.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is what I tried to like streamline, make it like less simple. So this was my strategic plan I did at the end of last year for my client. I had like, what was the goal? What are all the big buckets of work that we needed to do? Team being foundational. I learned this, like, it's a strategic house by Nike. And then I turned it into functional projects. Like, here's what this all means: sales, product, coachee, ops, team, like all the projects we would need to do for the year. We handled like 85% of those. I'm really proud of that.
Wow.
And then we sequence them projects by quarter. What does that mean? And then we sequence them, first 90-day outlook. Who's going to do what? And am I overloading any of the resources? No, this was like aggressive. She's like, I want to do this all in the first quarter. I'm like, no. But at least I'm like, we know what we're doing first. And
Right.
we know what we're doing second. And we're going to focus on that. So that's kind of like, we knew what we were working on and when. And so, and I also like, we did the budget and we did the executive summary. So these are the things that we worked on as part of the year-end review. So this is stop sharing since like technically you didn't get permission to show that, but
don't worry, people don't know who she is, or who that business is. Yeah. But I thank you for showing versus telling. I think that is really powerful so that they can see, or I could even see like what that looks like and what a deliverable could actually look like for a CEO that they could then use and be like kind of like one source of truth for that next year.
Yeah. So in the rest of the deck, because it was like a pretty long deck, we looked at the wins, we looked at the team results, we looked at the portfolio of engagements and the profitability and those things. Like we looked at like nothing we looked at related to tech or tools or process. It was all like, what does the business need and what do we need to focus on in the business?
Yeah. Oh, so good. Any questions, y'all? We have about 10 more minutes with Jessica. Any questions? So Jill asked, and this is when we were talking about like figuring out the constraints. Are you applying Lean or Six Sigma root cause analysis?
Lean, yes. Six Sigma, no. Six Sigma, just it's like a repetition. So we don't typically work with things that have that much, like we're not trying to get process control, but definitely looking at Lean. And, some of the things that I'd link about is like, there's like the 8 wastes, which I'm sure you could link at some point, but it's like really like, where am I over revving and where am I not getting, where am I spending wasted time, wasted energy? But there's like, I tend to talk, there's my engineering side, but then I tend to talk in like nature centric metaphors. And I'm like, all right, what's the next tree trunk do we need to strengthen roots? Do we need to like prune projects that are not working and things that we're trying to do? Or where do we just really need like new foundations in some places?
I love it. I love it. So, where in your own business, how do you currently have the 3 different offers, like you were saying, kind of like the, almost like an advisor COO, a fractional, and an interim? Are those your 3 offers?
So the more I get into fractional COO, the more I realize that the skill, like COO type skills, or like systems thinking is not necessarily taught, and I'd like it to be more taught. So now I don't have I don't do interim COO for anybody anymore, because I have too big of a portfolio of clients to do that. So I'm now do fractional COO, like kind of like 5 to 10 hours for like 1 or 2 clients at a time, and then I have like a lot of advisory clients.
Awesome. And are your packages sold in retainers? I'm trying to give the group an idea of like how you would set up your offer.
Yeah, it's retainer, but there's always an assessment. I got to see what's under the hood first. Like sometimes like, I'm like, you bring me on, I'm like, you can't afford me. So I want to do like a business model and be like, what can you afford? Can you afford me? Should you have me?
Yeah.
That's step 1. And then like, it's a retainer, but it's like a sequenced roadmap of like things we're going to do together.
Yes. I love that. So smart. We talk about that a lot. That's part of our process is you got to do the audit first, because a CRM build could take 3 hours or it could take 3 months. It just completely depends on the business.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like I have to know whether or not, like if I propose COO, fractional COO, and they don't have a sales pipeline, I've done this before where I'm like, oh, like you need more hours from me,
Mm-hmm.
but your business model doesn't support me. So I'm going to be like, go hire someone else. You shouldn't hire me.
Right. Right. Oh, I love it. I love it. And so then looking at your own business, um, what what areas would you love to improve in your own consulting business?
So I have a membership and a group program,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to figure out how to. So I'm like putting my one-on-one advisory clients. I'm like trying to put more videos, more templates, more tools, and like more of a curriculum style because I think that's really helpful. And I'm still building some of those things out. But like in my membership, like I want to be able to have people track their metrics once a month and have like them submit their quarterly goals. And I don't have like great systems for tracking who does that. So like I have been focused really heavily on like marketing, authority building, marketing, and like I'm about to rebrand my business next year.
Ooh,
Yeah, but
congrats.
like, someone said this like they had this like systems thing, and I'm like, boy, it would be nice to like have a like a Notion tracker of like or they have like an Airtable thing of like everyone that like did they submit all their assignments, and I'm like, I would love that. I do not have that in my business. So, but when it was like 10 one-on-one clients, I didn't need that. But
Right.
now that it's like 50 people in a membership and 20 people in a cohort, and then 10 advisory clients and a fractional CO client, by the way, do not recommend doing all four of these business models at once because the only way I can do this is because I'm a COO of my own business. Like 10 out of 10 do not recommend. Like pick one, pick two, do not pick four. Bad news bears.
I was just thinking that. I was
Oh, and I started a podcast with a friend, and I have a YouTube channel. Like seriously,
do you sleep? Like, what is going on?
I don't have kids, so that is part of it. I have a dog, but I'm also like recognizing that I'm trying to like jam like 7 years of business building into 4. So like
Yeah,
there you go.
I completely understand that. I completely understand that. And then for your membership, I'm curious about that. Who is that target audience versus your fractional offer?
So my fractional offer is again for like I like had a couple. They're like a multi $1 million, $2 million plus like scaled coaching firm because I was a coach, and so that's one of them was like a bunch of former Nike people were building a consulting firm, and I was like their fractional COO / chief of staff. So it was less. They wanted to handle the strategy, and I'm like, you're not doing strategy right. So I was really kind of like operating more at like a chief of staff DO type level.
Got it.
They handled their finances, and I'm like, your finances look wrong. Kind of where I was at. My membership is really like in the business world. Your people are not like this, but a lot of people would come in and they're like, I don't actually know how to run business.
Right.
So membership is like very much like, how do you find your leverage priority? How do you know where you are in the arc of building your business? How do you think about choosing your next project and how to focus? How do you track your metrics and know what metrics to track? How do you know what business you're really running? So it's like those foundational business skills. So it's really meant for like people who are at any stage of business who feel like they're alone in like doing business like in a sustainable fashion outside of the grow on social media and all the like the online business stuff. And I'm like, no, this is like how business like actually works in the reality for people who don't have an ops background mostly.
It's so funny. My husband and I were talking about this last night. He's in finance, and so but he does corporate finance, and so he talks about this all the time. Like just like the brass tacks of that people don't know, or how a business is actually run. You got to, make money, and that's the point.
Yes. So yeah, so like that's my membership. I have a group program that's like with a little more intensity and curriculum too, like the foundational systems of running a business. And when I say systems, it's like, how does your offers inform your marketing, which informs your authority building strategies, which informs the goals you set and the metrics you track and the people you hire, like all of those things. And then I have like advisory for like those providers who are kind of pre OBM. They're pre DOO. And I'm like, here's how, but I am serving like, I'm like, here's the pathway to build an expertise based business. At some point you will need you will need an OBM. And if they have an OBM, or a lot of times they have an assistant, and I'm like having to like teach them how to delegate to their team and teach them how to hold their team accountable. I'm like, it's not the wrong job description. It's literally 20 pounds of work in a 10-pound sandbag.
Yes. Put perfectly. I may be borrowing that. That is exactly right. We see that time and time and time again. Jessica, I can't believe it's already been 45 minutes. This is absurd. Time flew. I am so, so, so grateful. So last two questions. First, if there's one thing that you would leave this group with, what would it be?
Learn as much as you can about how your customer makes and spends money, how your client makes and spends money. Like you should be more of an expert on marketing than they are. And you should be like, you should know, like, and if they're like, I don't want you to touch my numbers, my bookkeeper accountant that handles that, be like, cool, I can't be effective unless I see under the hood of the financial side of your business, and like learn how to read their financial reports. Like that's like the COO, like team, sales and marketing and finance are like the things that I see set you apart.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Yes. Amen. Damn straight. All the things. So good. Okay. And where can our audience find you, Jessica?
At my website, jessicalackey.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. It's really about, all the things I think about building an expertise-based business. And I teach free classes once a month too.
Y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This was truly a pleasure. I mean, hearing what you offer puts me at ease for all of your clients. Like truly, like just again, so the executive coach can focus on executive coaching. So your other ex Nike people can focus on ex Nike things. Just rather than which problem do I solve now?
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of CEOs get into the cycle of.
Yeah.
Or
I think,
stuck there.
Yeah. There's two things I hold. I hold the vision for what's possible and where we're going, but I'm also holding every single one of their metrics. That's important to be like, it's like we're on an airplane and I'm like, I'm looking out for you to make sure we don't run into an airplane or the mountaintop. But I'm also like very focused on like the dials of your business.
Golly. Jessica, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all, I mean, if that doesn't just wrap up 2024 in a nice little bow, I don't know what does. So again, thank you all for being with us all year long. It has been truly my pleasure. If you want to catch up on all of the different shows that we have done, head over to our YouTube channel. There's lots more just like this. And again, get excited for 2025. Our OBM University, our training program is getting even more of I want to say facelift, but it's more than a facelift. More than a facelift. All right, y'all. See you next year. Bye-bye.